only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want to ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
Lions got a big game on Sunday, trying to improve to 10 wins, going to Chicago and facing the Bears. Big game. I think this win would solidify the Lions in the playoffs. I think that would put that little X that they do on the playoff screen. So I'm really hoping that that is the case. I'm not 100% sure. I think other teams would have to lose for that to officially be that little X there, but I'm hoping that's the case for Sunday. Either way, we got to win this game. We got to keep winning to win the NFC North, and that is the only way to secure that playoff spot is just by winning. That's what the game's about. We got to get it done there. Yes, we got some good things about this team, some bad things, but at the end of the day, we just got to keep winning to keep those smiles on faces and to keep the Packers, Vikings, and everybody else at bay. Win the game, put a smile on our faces. How are you all doing here? We got Rocky Watts, 9 Drinks Chrome, Pipeweed in the building, man. Let's get this thing going. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. That's what it's all about here. You got the Lions offense, still really good offense in the NFL, 6 in points per game at 27.3, 400 yards per game. That's second in the NFL. Passing yards, 263.3. That's fourth in the NFL. Rushing yards, 137.3, fourth in the NFL. And turnovers, hey, we got +2 this past Sunday. That puts up at -3, 21st in the NFL. And I think they're going to keep going with the turnover drills that they're doing in practice. Jared Goff was talking about it because it worked. I like it. Just keep doing those turnover drills. We don't need to fumble. I don't see Jared Goff fumble. I want to see Josh Reynolds fumble. I want to see fumbling on the kickoffs or anything like that. Nothing wrong with doing those drills and keeping it on there. Lions offense, still really good offense. Really good offense for Detroit. I know Ben Johnson, he's has some questionable play calls, and we'll definitely call it out when he has those questionable ones, but the offense is still doing well. It started off really good this year. It's kind of, we've had some mixed game the last couple of weeks, and he's kind of got to get back to what he's doing. But I think so Sunday's game's interesting because I don't think anybody expected to go up 21 points. When you're at that position, maybe your game plan changes a little bit. Also losing Frank Ragnow, inability to run in the middle at that point really hurt the Lions team. And the injuries to the offensive line affects the run game. And when it affects the run game, it affects the Lions offense. We're built on the run game, run and play action. So, the injury news here looks like he avoided a major injury. That's great news, but he's probably not going to play on Sunday, so that stinks. Aleem McNeil, he's probably not going to play on Sunday. That stinks, but it's nothing major, just dinged up all around. Alex Anzalone probably return on Sunday. That's good news. There you go, man. We got to get these injuries to the offensive line. Just the past couple of years has been unreal. It's just every game somebody's going down, some sort of injury, and it's just been consistent like this for years. Maybe our luck will change at some point. That would be nice. But Lions offense still humming. Lions defense, points per game, 23.8 in the NFL, but since the Ravens game, it's 29 points per game. So at 23.8, that's 23rd, but it's 32nd right now since the Ravens game. Yards allowed per game, they're allowing 322.4. That's 14th in the NFL. Passing yards per game, that's 229.3, 21st in the NFL, but since the Ravens game, it's the 32nd in the NFL. Rushing yards per game, 90.3, still good at stopping the run, 6th in the NFL. And yeah, Big V is always out. I don't think he's going to play another game. I think he's done as a Detroit Lion unless he gets back before, because he was put on IR but we'll see. But I think he's pretty much done as a Detroit Lion. Lions defense struggling. It's got to get better. It's got to. And now we're in a stretch here where we're dealing with mobile quarterbacks, and that's been our Achilles heel for 3 straight years. Will it stop versus Justin Fields? Will it stop when we face Russell Wilson? We got to face Josh Dobbs. We got to face Dak Prescott. So a lot of mobile quarterbacks coming up here. Lions defense must improve. In that the pass rush, Bruce Irvin, thank you so much. Come in here. He's getting a sack. That was really nice to see, making an impact on 11 snaps. I suspect to eventually just get about 15. I think that's what he'll be at. Can the pass rush get sacks versus the Chicago Bears? It's different because the Saints' offensive line is one of the worst, 27th in the NFL. They're not good. Can they perform better and then contain Justin Fields, where Justin Fields does not rush 100 yards for us? So that is a big task they got to do. And it's going to be cold in Chicago. And, I think the Lions offense will still do well. I think it will. I know they say Jared Goff doesn't play well in the cold or, on the road. But in all honesty, I think the Lions offense will be fine. They're going to run the football. They'll figure it out there. But I got to tell you what, run defense for the Bears. They're third in the NFL. Their run defense, for the Bears is first in the NFL. They only allow 79 yards a game. Very good run defense. So it's going to be really hard, I think, to run down the middle on them. It was hard when we lost Frank Ragnow. I think it'll be difficult on Sunday. So maybe you do some end arounds, jet sweeps, get Jamison Williams the football, and he can run it. Get Jahmyr Gibbs on the outside. It's probably the best route to go in this game. Follow Jonah Jackson. Use his power for the Lions run game. I still think they'll run effectively, but not 150 yards rushing. I don't think the Lions will do that. That's quite difficult. And against the Bears defense, who is really improving. Points allowed per game, 24.7. That's 27th in the NFL. Yards allowed per game, 322.4, 14th in the NFL. Passing yards per game, they're still susceptible to it, but that's 239.5 yards per game, 25th in the NFL, but they've been playing better as of late. So their defense is improving. Still think the Lions offense is really good. And so when you have a really good offense, you do have the ability to put up some points, and I think they will, but I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be some easy Lions are up 40-7 or something like that. I don't see that being the case. More of like a 28-20, maybe 24-21 type of game. They got some players who can sack quarterback. Yannick Ngakoue, 3, and obviously Montez Sweat, 2.5. He's been a disruptor since he's joined that team. Montez Sweat has done a phenomenal job for them. TJ Edwards, 2, Rasheem Green, 2, and Justin Jones. But Montez Sweat, he is the guy we got to look for. He is the guy we got to watch for. And they're going to play with pride. You don't think that they're mad that they lost that game at Ford Field the way they lost it? They're going to be very angry, and I think they're going to be hungry. And they're coming off a bye week. So don't underestimate the Chicago Bears. We're coming off a win in Orleans. The Lions, I think, are going to be angry too, because first off, we nearly lost that Bears game, and how the Saints played. I think the Lions they're looking to play better. And Dan Campbell talked about it, that we need to be better. And he says they will be ready versus the Bears. And I think they will be. So it's going to be a classic NFC North showdown. Difficult. I do have the Lions winning this game. I'll do my breakdown tomorrow, but I do have the Lions winning this game, squeaking out a win and getting to 10 wins. Major statement to get to 10 wins. Lions get to 10 wins. I believe it will secure them a playoff spot. I think it'll put that little X on the graphic, and that secures them a playoff spot, and that would be amazing. Amazing. I want to see just a secured spot so we can all do a sigh of relief. It's just step by step, right? We feel like we're going to win the NFC North. That's like 95% chance, but you want to see it, right? So same thing with just get that little X on the screen. It secures it. Okay, we're in the playoffs. Next step, let's secure the NFC North. Get that Y on there. Okay, once we do that, we're going to go ahead and find, where we're going to be in seeding. So it's just step by step. Any updates on Houston? What's up, Lauren McCube, nope, just same thing there. They expect him late December to come back, so nothing new from the Houston front, nothing new from the CJ Gardner-Johnson front. Waiting for them to get elevated from the IR where they start the 21-day windows. That should be coming up. I suspect probably next week is when these guys will get activated for that 21-day window. Houston, I think he's back this season. I think he's back in the end of December. I think CJ Gardner-Johnson will be back in December as well. That's my gut feeling. Do you think that we'll be able to run better this week at Glasgow, getting a week of practice at center? Do we need Ragnow there to be able to run effectively? I think that it'll be better for him, obviously, getting a week of practice and not going from guard to center mid-game. But you're going against a very good run defense. They're the best in the NFL. So it's going to be hard to run. It's going to be hard to run. And you know they're going to run because it's going to be snowing, it's going to be cold, and the Lions want to run. But at the same time, we pass quite a bit. Even we expect to run, we pass. So I expect them to pass. Gibbs and JMO need more touches, speed, kills. I agree with you, Brent. They do need more touches. Jameer Gibbs only had 8 carries compared to David Montgomery's 18. I don't want to see that. I want to see closer to 50-50 here. So give Jameer Gibbs the football. He's dynamic, man. And you're right. Somehow give JMO the football, whether it be in the pass or the run. The guy's fast. He's a playmaker. Let's get it done, man. You give playmakers the football and make them big plays. CJ Gardner-Johnson may be back for a playoff game. I expect him to. Houston was cleared already. Where? I don't see he was cleared yet. Did it just break while I got on here? I haven't seen anything to that effective. It's not on any of the things here. I haven't seen it. If you see something, then you put it in the comments section. Do you think this defense would be better if they switched to a 3-4 defense? I'm going to be 100% honest with you, and I don't want to BS you or lie to you in any way, shape, or form. I think that we have lack of talent at the defensive line. Doesn't really matter what formation you do. The talent's just not there. I also think that Aaron Glenn's not the long-term solution at defensive coordinator. That's what I believe. Now, you may disagree. You may think that he's really good. I think there's absolutely a lack of talent. I think it's a mixture of 3 things: lack of talent, players not doing their job, and coordinator is not that great. And when you have that mixture, you're going to have what you see on Sunday. So I think you got to get better talent. I think you have to have players need to step up, i.e. Bruce Irvin stepped up and Romeo Okwara stepped up a little bit. You've seen Jack Campbell step up. I think that there's injuries. CJ Gardner-Johnson, James Houston, we mentioned there, so that contributes it. And I think that Aaron Glenn is not that great. That's my personal opinion. Like it or not, that's my truth. You can disagree, that's fine, but that's what I believe. My heart and hearts, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit there and then be like, oh, I think that he's really good, and I think that all that together. Can the Lions fix it this year? I think they can get better. Can they fix it? No, because the lack of talent. You can't fix lack of talent. But Romeo Okwara got a sack, great. Charles Harris, where you at? Joshua Pascal's got, all these guys got to step up more, and it's just not happening. So I think that it can get better. I do believe it can get better if if the talent plays up to its potential. Aaron Glenn actually does a better job. Do I think it will get better? My personal opinion is I don't think it's going to get better. I think the Detroit Lions offense is going to have to carry it, and we just kind of got to expect, can the defense make a couple stops? That's it. Can the defense make a couple stops, hold teams to field goals instead of getting touchdowns on every single drive? So that's the Lions offense is going to have to win games. You're going to have to put up 30-plus points a game for the Lions to win. You're just going to have to do that. That's, this offense is our saving grace, and you're going to have to do it. That's the way it is. And I hope most of us are draft picks next year, bolster the offensive line. Yeah, and I agree, Pipeweed. You make a good point. Yeah, we do need defense, no doubt, but we need to bolster that offensive line. I think it's got to be defense and offensive line. That's what I want to see in this draft. Edge, defense, edge, pass rusher, and I'm in no particular order. Edge, pass rusher, interior offensive line, maybe to a cornerback, maybe another edge, maybe another defensive tackle. That's kind of what I want to see in this draft and in free agency. Address you're going to have to look. Charles Harris is not coming back. Romeo Aguar is not coming back. Isaiah Buggs may not even be back. They may end up releasing him. They're going to have to do a complete overhaul of this defensive line and I think they will. I 100% believe Brad Holmes is not ignorant to the defensive line. And I think in free agency in the draft, he is going to go hard on that. And you'll see a complete and utter overhaul. And that's going to make the team in 2024 better. That's going to make the team much improved, having the talent there. And then you'll have a second year of Jack Campbell, who's getting better. The Derek Barnes, the linebacker core is actually playing pretty good. And the secondary, we'll see if C.J. Gardner-Johnson comes back. But make no mistake, they will get a cornerback in free agency or the draft to pair up with Cam Sutton. Because, look, I like Jerry Jacobs, but by no means at all is this guy a number 2. He's definitely not a number 1. He is, I think he's a good backup player. I think he's good to have on the team. He is. He's not terrible, but he's not a number 2. He's not a guy you want to rely on week in and week out. Jerry Jacobs can make some good plays in games, make some interceptions, and I think that's a value to to depth. And I don't hate him at all, but I just don't think he's put in right now in a good position. He's placed. We're seeing him. We've seen him on Keenan Allen. We've seen him Christian Watson. We've seen him Chris Olave. There's no way in God's green earth should Jerry Jacobs be on those guys. In reality, that's just not the case. Lions got to upgrade the cornerback position. I also think that maybe they should try Stephen Gilmore out. Try him out. It's not doing any worse right now. Try him out. He did really well in preseason. He was sticky in coverage, and he turned his head around, and he was getting interceptions. Try him out. There is nothing wrong with throw him out there, see what the young man can do. We did that with Jerry Jacobs 3 years ago. He was an undrafted free agent, and he came in, and we've seen he's a decent depth piece. Why not try it out? And that's my thought process. Why not? You're 100% right, too. Well, we need better pass rush. I mean, and it does make the defensive backs look bad. 100%. You got to have pass rush. I mean, because any good cornerback's going to look bad when the quarterback is sitting there. But we do need to upgrade that number 2 spot. Okay, we do. Jerry Jacobs is not a number 2. He's more of a backup role, and you like to see him on situational downs on defense. Great depth piece for the Detroit Lions, but he's not a number 2. So you got to go up there and get a number 2. Losing Emmanuel Mosley this year hurt the Lions defense. He was supposed to be our number 2. We lose him. So that was a player whom we're supposed to count on that didn't do his job. But again, can you say Brad Holmes, hey, don't sign injured players, right? So, but at the end of the day, look, the Lions are 9-3. I can complain a lot, and it's perfectly fine. I think we have the right to do that, but we're 9-3. Best start since I can remember, since 1962. Lions are in position to win the NFC North first time in 30 years that I can remember. I'm 38 years old, so I don't remember when I'm 8 years old, okay? I don't remember those games. Herman Moore is my boss. Love the guy that's his channel. But I was a young guy when he was playing. I was a young guy when Barry Sanders was playing. So this is my era right now, is I've lived predominantly through the Joey Harrington era. I lived through the era of Matt Millen. There's been a lot. Dante Culpepper. We obviously the Matt Stafford era, which I like Matthew Stafford when he's our quarterback, but we never won a playoff game. You know, we went to New Orleans and lost, went to Dallas, but we never won the NFC North. So this to me, like, I am fine. Like, if the Lions win the NFC North, I am going to celebrate and be happy. If the Lions host a playoff game and win the playoff game, my expectations are met. That was the expectations coming into the season. If they do that, I'm happy. If we lose the next game, there's things that we can work on, but the Detroit Lions did something that we've not done in a very long time, and I'm going to celebrate it. Maybe that's being like, oh, that's a loser mentality. You would actually celebrate the Lions losing the second playoff game. I'm not going to celebrate a loss, but I'm going to say this was a great season, and I am happy that I got to witness it. Happy I got to go through every game and hang out with everybody in here. Lions are looking good. That's they got this offseason. I'm convinced Brad Holmes is going to nail this defense and offensive line issues in this draft and free agency. We got the money to spend, and I'm not saying we're going to go out and get all these top guys because I think that's a dumb idea. I don't think you should go out there and just blow money, right? That's not, you build through the draft and then you get selected free agents. That's what I want to see. But I could see a situation where Danielle Hunter, if he's not re-signed by the Minnesota Vikings, Lions like, we're going to give you a 3-year deal here in Detroit. You know what, Lions, we're going to go ahead and get a Verse in the draft. Okay, and then you have Aiden Hutchinson, you have Verse, and you have Danielle Hunter, and that's like, okay, massive upgrade on the defensive line. And then maybe they go get an interior defensive tackle somewhere in the draft or in free agency to pair him up with Lee McNeil. And now you're looking at a much improved defensive line, something of the likes you see of San Francisco or the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're like, okay, now like this defensive line can compete in the rest of the NFC. But make no mistake about it, the NFC North is getting better too. So our record next year may not be as good as the record this year, but the team could actually be better. Because if you look at it right now, Chicago's got the first pick in the draft, the fifth pick in the draft. Their defense is playing high. They upgrade their offense, maybe get a new head coach. The Chicago Bears could be a 500 win team or maybe a winning record next year. The Green Bay Packers defense is playing better. The offense is playing better right now. They're in a 3-game win streak. You could see a situation where they're a 9-10 win team. The Minnesota Vikings, they could bring back Kirk Cousins. Their defense is playing at a high level. They could be a very good team. The Detroit Lions could very well be a better team, but with a worse record in 2024 and make a run. Because their team they can compete with Philadelphia. They can compete with San Francisco. They can compete with Dallas when you have that type of talent. And that's my thing. Sorry, I need the defensive coordinator fired. Look, I'm with you. That is my personal opinion, TY. I don't think he's the man for the job. That is my personal opinion. Here is what I would love. Here is my offseason right here. This is Mike Kimber, Micro Mike's winning offseason right here. Okay, I don't know how this season's going to play out. We're just going to go script to the offseason. This would be my A+ offseason. They let Aaron Glenn go. Robert Saleh was fired by the New York Jets. Lions bringing Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator. That would be gigantic. Ben Johnson decides to stay with the Lions for another year. Lions go and get Danielle Hunter for a 3-year deal. Lions draft Jared Verse, defensive edge. Lions, I don't know who the corners are out there. The Lions sign a cornerback in free agency, not necessarily a great one, but they sign somebody to be a number 2. They bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, a small deal, and maybe a 2-year deal. He wants to come back and because of his injury. James Houston gets re-signed to the Lions because he's undrafted, unrestricted free agent. That would be my offseason victory, Dan. Man, you looking good, bro.
Oh, gotta work today, man. Gotta work. Gotta make a paycheck today.
Dan here looking like a G right now. Dan, let's just jump right into it. So this is my off. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear me? My offseason, A+ offseason for the Lions. Did you hear what I said?
I did not. I hopped on and he got me on right away, so I missed it, Mike. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, I'll do it quick for you. So I want to hear what your offseason dream is too. Johnny Cash, what do you think? Here is my winning A+ offseason. The Lions let go of Aaron Glenn. Robert Saleh gets fired by the New York Jets. They bring him as defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. The Lions get Danielle Hunter in free agency. They draft Jared Verse, upgrade the defensive tackle position somewhere in free agency in the draft, or both. Same with the with an offensive line. Ben Johnson returns. That would be my A+ scenario for the offseason. Thoughts?
I think it's a pretty good one. And it's nothing against Aaron Glenn or anything. I get he's limited by his experience, as a defensive coordinator. He's only been, whatever it is now, 2.5 years to 2.5, maybe a little bit more. The other part is the Lions do have some deficiencies. I don't think I'm giving a spoiler alert here on the defensive side. Begin with their front. They're just not very athletic. I know that they seem to draft personnel, if you're just talking about the tackles and even the ends, that are better fits for a 3-4 base setup than it is for what they primarily running. You look at who we're more than likely going to face as far as quarterbacks in the NFC North for the foreseeable future. You're going to have to get more athletic. You're going to have to get some guys that can chase down mobile quarterbacks. And I know, Mike, you're tired of seeing quarterbacks run all over us. You're going to have to address that. The second part of that is Robert Saleh, somebody who can be more assertive, aggressive, less conservative defensively, I think would be a real good fit for the Detroit Lions.
This guy says, I can't stand this guy. Don't listen, man. I think there's even people on probably right now. There is 5,000 Lions YouTubers.
Yeah.
Don't listen, man. I'm not even in an argument mode. Not everybody is not, I'm not up for everybody. Everybody's not for me. So just don't listen. There's people I don't listen to. I'm not big fans of for whatever. Not even Lions content, just content creators. You know what I do? I just don't listen to it. So that's what I do. That's the best way to do it. As of today, 3 NFC North teams are in the playoffs. 100%, man. The NFC North is getting better, Dan. It's getting better. You're seeing this offense start to click for the Green Bay Packers. You're seeing the defense get better for Chicago. And boy, oh boy, they have a great opportunity this offseason to upgrade. And then the Vikings, man, look, they just have quarterback issue.
Right. I mean, you look across the board, and start with Green Bay. They've got a very good defense, a very good, I'd say not young, but mid-age defense. They do have a lot of younger players on offense that are starting to grow and mature. Detroit, you could say, hey, if we didn't turn the ball over 50 times against them, we'd probably win. And while that may be true, that young core they have in Green Bay is only going to get better in time as they get more experience. So I think if I'm Brad Holmes, I got to figure out, hey, we've got some real good parts on both sides of the ball. Our defense, like I said earlier, lacks athleticism, and it lacks some dudes. It lacks some, elite players that can either get to the quarterback or cover.
So, and it's not all AG's fault. I want to make that 110% clear, because it's not. I feel like the fan base is kind of split right now. You either one or the other. But it's actually a mixture of a lot. But I just don't think he's the answer. But it's a mixture of a lot, and that's what happens. He says, it's content creator, you're all right to me, man. Hey, appreciate it. Look, man, not everybody's going to like everybody, and that's just the hashtag facts, and I'm cool with it. But my suggestion to anybody, if you don't like a said content creator, whether it be me or Dan or anybody else out there, just don't listen to him, man.
Just watch something else.
Just watch something else, and then you'll be happy right there. The Thor Brothers, this dude's great, very knowledgeable. Yes, sounds like a you problem if you can't stand him, for sure. Definitely sounds like you problem. Dan is awesome, and that's why he's on here. That's why I got him on Lions Nation Unite. He's awesome. He knows what he's talking about. Coach, all of that stuff. Former Lions media member, and when you bring that type of knowledge, I do appreciate it. Only person the Lions are missing is Chandler Jones. If Chandler Jones to join the Lions, that's the only person they're missing. I think they're missing a little bit more chicken hot sauce, but to both of your guys' opinions, you as him, like you're missing that the staple guy, right? Like we've seen it throughout years. DeAndre Levy, staple guy. Ndamukong Suh, staple guy. I think we have a developmental staple guy in Brian Branch. I think he's awesome. I think Lee McNeil is getting close. I don't know if he'll ever reach to that blue chip status, but you're right, Dan. Just getting that guy, that dude in there, that it's like, okay, he is good. We have that in offense, right? St. Brown, he is
Right.
good. Penei Sewell, he is really good. Like there's some staple guys offensively. I don't know if we have that right now, but Brian Branch developing into one.
I think if you were to ask me to put like my GM hat on and say who are the pieces the Lions have on both sides of the ball, that I think if you asked any other GM across the NFL, you'd be like, yeah, we want those guys. So start with the line of scrimmage. You got Penei Sewell, and to a lesser degree, probably Jonah Jackson or Decker. Sewell's elite. The rest of them are pretty dang good. As far as your skill positions, I think Gibbs has the potential to be real scary good. And you could probably say the same to a degree with Laporta, St. Brown, and who knows, maybe even Jamison Williams with a little bit more development. You can see where he's changed from a year ago to now. Heck, man, even the start of the year to now. Those guys right there give you, 4 or 5 pieces that if you can just put some competent guys around them where you don't really have any holes, now you're talking that's a pretty good offense. If you hit on some lower end or mid picks going forward, then that offense just gets scary good. And when you go to the defense, I think that's where the real problem is. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, his injury completely changed the back half of the defense because now you really can't play man-to-man. You just don't have enough guys back there that can hold up. You combat that with the fact you don't have anybody who can get after the quarterback. It wouldn't matter if you play man or zone. Somebody's going to get open over a 4 or 5 second stretch. So if I had to build around guys, I think you got to build around Hutchinson, although that guy, he's got no gas left in his tank. He looks whooped to me. So you're going to have to get somebody up front with him. Campbell, I think he could be pretty good. I don't think he'll ever be elite, but I think he'll be pretty good. You got some nice younger pieces around him with Ansel and Barnes. And then you get to the secondary. I think that's where you're really going to have to address things along with the defensive front. So if I had to go 3 top things they're going to have to target this offseason: interior offensive line, pass rush, and then secondary.
100%. I see my daughter in the building. Hi, Pookie Dad. Hey, man, you're supposed to be in school. She's probably going over there to her tech. So, hey, Carl, hope you're having a good one there. I love this comment by Rocky Watts, and I wanted to highlight this. Says, I don't think AG is developing his players like Johnson is on offense. This is a masterful point here because I was having an argument with the guy a couple of days ago talking about development. If you look at the Lions offense, St. Brown, 4th round pick, development. Khalif Raymond, did anybody expect him to be what he is right now when we picked him up? Absolutely not. Josh Reynolds was picked off the scrap heap, yet he's been an integral part to this offense. You see Ben Johnson, he gets players and he puts them in positions to succeed. He knows what these weaknesses are for this team, for his players, but he exploits other teams' weaknesses and how to schematic players open, and he utilizes the positive. Khalif Raymond, before we got Jamison Williams, you see him a lot doing these kind of jet sweeps and end arounds, and you see St. Brown doing these big old crossing routes and stuff like that. So he knows how to utilize the players. So I like what I see right there, and that's what you want to see from. You want to see that from Aaron Glenn. You want to see him. Last year we had Kirby Joseph was playing really well. What's going on with him? We had Aiden Hutchinson, and he's having a slump. We've seen players get angry about their lack of playing, Isaiah Buggs and stuff. So we're seeing some regression a little bit. Is JJ Watt still going to be a Lion? I never said at all he'd be a Lion, so I don't know where that's coming from. No, I don't think he's going to be a Lion. If you want him, I'm sorry, I don't see that. Can't remember if DeAndre Lever was called the screen killer or if it was just what I called him. He was amazing sniffing out screens and getting interceptions. Good God, man. I remember that where we were I think we were at Miami. We had 4 games left. It was the start of the Lions winning 4 straight games. DeAndre Lever with the pick 6. It was freaking epic. Where is Gilmore? On the sideline. On the sideline. I was caught in 4K. Y'all walked him. He told me to watch. Actually, well, I don't know what's going on. Get to school. I can't. All right. See, Laporta was one of the least favorite draft picks Brad Holmes knows how to spot talent, and I hope he stays away from players' injury history. I'm 100%. Um, he, I didn't want to get Laporta, and I'm so damn wrong, and I'm so happy to be wrong. Laporta has been amazing, Dan. You know what he's doing is historical,
Legendary.
legendary. That's a great word. This guy, I like how Jared Goff said he is like a veteran.
Mhm.
His feet stay on the ground. He knows where the ball is going to be. He's always clutch, and he's very smart and knows everything about the plays. It's crazy, but Laporte is awesome. And when you hear him talk, you can tell just how cool, calm, and collective he is, and how he words and how he speaks. Very intelligent, very smart, and very cool and calm. Kind of hard for Hutchinson when three guys are blocking him. Look, that's a problem. It is a problem, but he has a little bit of regression too. It's not all just every single time he's getting doubled or tripled. He has regressed a little bit, but
No.
I
Oh,
mean,
go ahead.
I'm not too worried about it. Aiden Hutchinson, I'm not. You give him other talent out there, I think he'll do well, 100%. Dan.
Yeah, I think when you look at Hutchinson or Kirby Joseph, I mean, you guys have heard me say this before. One of the best lines ever heard in regards to something like this is, people say, well, players run into a sophomore slump, which Charles Barkley summed it up great years ago. And he said, there's no such thing as a sophomore slump. It's just everybody's got film on you now. They know what your tendencies are. That's part of the normal growing curves. Hutch, Kirby, they came in with specific skill sets. They knew how to use it on other teams, and they were good at it. Now the thing is, teams have learned how to counter punch them, and they're going to have to evolve past it. Where now they get some secondary steps. The other part with Hutch, I will say this, man, they rely so much on him. You look at his snap count throughout the season, he's got to be vastly over the NFL average as far as what defensive linemen do in a game. And he looks tired to me. I think they've worn him down to the nub. So if they can get, Irvin holds up and maybe Houston comes back in a week or two where they can start rotating all three of them a little bit more, Hutchinson starts getting a little fresher by the playoffs. I think they're going to see a lot more effectiveness out of the Lions pass rush at that point.
How do you like the Lions against the spread? Lions are a 3.5-point favorite. Lions play inside. Jared Goff struggles in bad weather, which is predicted. Opinion. I think the Lions should be favored to win this game. They are, from an overall talent standpoint, I feel like they're definitely better than the Chicago Bears. Doesn't mean it's going to be close game, or it doesn't mean it's going to be blown. I think it's going to be really close. The Bears are fighting. They're probably really angry they lost that game at Ford Field. They're coming off a bye. It's going to be really difficult. But at the same time, talk about Jared Goff's struggles when it's cold out, or I don't know exactly what the weather is going to be in Chicago on Sunday. But I just go back to the Packers game, the last game of the year last year. He played well. I thought he played well. Is he the greatest outside of a dome? I don't think so, but I don't think he's that bad. I really don't think he's that bad. Do you know what the weather's going to be in Chicago? I have no idea.
That I don't know. I'd have to look it up for you, Mike. But
yeah, I'd have to look it up too. I have no idea. Dan said the lines we're seeing about JJ availability. This guy is trying to burn him, saying JJ is Watt, which is Dan never said. I never heard Dan say that JJ Watt was coming to the Detroit Lions. I heard him say that there's been discussions about it.
Yep.
That's two different things. Let's see. Bugs lost his spot to. Yeah, I know. I don't like this. He lost spot for Dallas. From Bohan, is CJ Gardner-Johnson coming back to Chicago? No, he's not activated. When they will get activated off IR, it'll be a 21-day window. Once they get activated, it has to be after the 21-day window. So no, he's not going to play Sunday. They're not activated yet. So it's going to be, if it happens, end of December. Now, Dan sometimes knows a little bit more about these guys. Have you heard anything more about Houston and or CJ?
So yeah, don't hold me to these dates, but they're pretty close. Houston got cleared. I want to say it was Saturday or Friday last week by his personal medical staff. That meant that as of yesterday, the Lions were going to try to review him with their medical staff and personnel and try to see if they could begin the 21-day window on him. As of today, at whatever it is, 1:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I haven't heard anything saying they've agreed to pass him, that he's going to clear their insurance liabilities and concerns. So it probably sometime this week we should get an update on him. I know their target date is the Broncos game, which is December 17th, or the game after that on Christmas Eve, for having him back. I also know in regards to CJ Gardner-Johnson, they did issue a week ago a statement to his representation saying that he's got to be fully cleared and be on the roster by, I'd have to look it up, but it's the second to last game of the season, so with Cowboys. If he's not fully cleared by that point, they're shelving him for the year.
All these primetime games, Thanksgiving game, flex game is tiring our guys out. Even Dan Campbell said he likes Sunday at 1 p.m. games. James Janella for sure, but guess what? When you're a good team and you are beloved, that's going to happen now. Like this, good teams are going to be in prime time. And yes, that is something that sucks because it is easier to do Sunday at 1 p.m. Dan Campbell likes it, but it's a different era for the Detroit Lions to actually be wanted on prime time. We better get used to it because with Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and the Lions consistent winning now, you're going to be on prime time quite a bit. And that's just something they're just going to have to adjust to. Look, I prefer the 1 p.m. games on Sunday. It is easy for me. But the Lions are no longer a scrub team. Right. They are beloved. And I think Hard Knocks last year really blew that up too. I think that changed the perception. Popular. You got real popular real quick. I mean, everybody still talks about the Hard Knocks, the Lions, and we've had Hard Knockses on the Jets. And I think who's going right? Is it the Miami Dolphins going on right now in season? They still talk about the Lions one because it was so fun to watch. It was fun. You have Dan Campbell, who's just a personality. What have you guys heard about the argument between Kirby Joseph and CJ Gardner-Johnson on the sideline? No. I don't ever heard anything on that.
I mean, I know it happened during the game, but I would just say this to you guys. That's just normal stuff on the sideline. You got somebody who caught something that happens in 99% of games. Somebody's going to get upset. They're going to express themselves. So I don't think it's a big deal at all.
42 on Sunday. That's great weather for football in Chicago, 42 degrees. That's great football weather. If it's a little bit rainy, okay, I could see that. Well, guess what? You're probably just going to run a little bit more, right? Somehow give Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs the football, but it's not like it's 0 degrees. 42, shoot. And that's fine. That's fine for the Lions. It's not going to be 0-0. Put Bugs in. They may have to now. They definitely may have to now because Ali McNeil may not play on Sunday. So they're going to have to put somebody in. I would like to see Bugs in there. I think he's a good rotational player. That's my personal belief, but we'll see. We'll see. What I didn't like about the Watt coming back is that he was running on McAfee's show. Cardio isn't there. Look, he's probably enjoying the fact that he's retired and he's making money talking. These guys' bodies get beat up. I'm sure he was beat up. He's tore up. Sometimes they just like to chill out, and relax the body. Detroit is getting spoiled. Why does this city get hold of the draft? Yes, the draft is going to be here in Detroit. That's awesome. Detroit is getting spoiled, and it's good for Detroit to get spoiled. It's good for the Lions fans to get some of this. This fan base has been depleted for years. Right. And it's good to see these longtime fans. They've been fans for 50 years. They're seeing positive vibes come in. It's nice, Dan.
It is. I mean, and why does Detroit get the draft? Because they're rewarding them. Because right now, Detroit Lions are one of the hottest franchises in the NFL. Yep. And let's not forget, the NFL is a business, one of the biggest ones in the United States. They're going to give it to where they know they're going to get more return on their investment. They're going to put it out there. They've probably got some agreements with hotels, restaurants, and everything. The city of Detroit, whatever you want to say, that hey, if we give it to you guys, we get 10% of the revenue that's brought in from it, and that's pretty standard for most hosting drafts or Super Bowl.
Seen different reports, but some up to 25 mile per hour in sleet. Not a huge concern because the run game, if it's going to be like that, if it's 25 mile per hour winds, they're going to run the football, and guess what? It's not like we kick a lot of field goals anyways. So, but guess what? The Chicago Bears, they're going to run quite a bit as well, and Justin Fields can run, so that's going to be difficult on the Lions' defense. Yep, UK's our awesome show. Love those guys. Absolutely do. I think the only team JJ Watt should really sign with Steelers, play with his brother. I mean, that would be kind of interesting, but he's probably just going to stay retired and enjoy the life of a retired person. If Bugs doesn't play, we need to get Martin snaps. At some point, he's got to get snaps. Look, I get it. You want to develop him, but now it's starting to get a little bit crazy. Like, you get this Bohanna guy on here.
Right.
It's like, come on, man. You traded up in the draft to get it. So at some point, Broderick Martin's got to get some snaps. Isaiah Bugs got to get in there. What's the deal with Broderick Martin? You think he'd start to get playing time now, but it's not happening.
I think he's just a really raw prospect. We talked about getting more athletic on the defensive line. He would help solve that. But if you watch the snaps he has gotten, he starts off pretty shaky. I mean, he gets bullied pretty easily by a lot of guards or interior offensive linemen. They get their hands, their elbows under his pads, and he's toast. And when he corrects that, you'll probably start seeing him emerge a little bit more and more.
God, he's got to figure it out. We need help on that defensive line, the interior. And I don't think Aleem plays this Sunday, so somebody has to step up. Just like Jack Campbell had to step up last week, and he did. It's good to see the young players step up. You got to do it when you got to do it. And it's time somebody to step up and take their game to the next level, because losing Aleem McNeil for this game is a big deal. He's probably the most consistent player on the whole defense. Most consistent. 5.5 sacks. He's good what he does, stopping the run, taking down the quarterback. He's just been consistent. So somebody's got to step up with the dream. Aleem McNeil beaten up. And I got to say, Aleem's a warrior. He was going in and out of that lineup on Sunday. And you like to see, it sucks that he gets injured, but you like to see the fact that this guy wants it bad.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be good. He's been here for a couple of years now. I mean, like most of these guys, you think of the bulk of this team, they're really 3 years in the league or less. So a lot of these guys have never been in these type of situations where they're having to deal with the stress and pressure of being one of the better teams, everybody coming out trying to play their best game, or scheming against specific players. When you're 1-5, 1-6 like last year, nobody's scheming for you because you don't deserve it. And unfortunately for those other teams, they probably grew to regret that last year. But this year, everybody's got film on you. They pay more attention, and they're coming after you. Any weaknesses you have, they're going to try to exploit.
And they're taking their A game. Remember, they're underdogs, and it's like, okay, we used to be the underdog where we're going to give our best effort, and that's now what other teams are doing to us. Now we're in a different position. We're in that, okay, we're the favorites, and it's not a lot where the Lions are favorites, but this year we've been a favorites quite a bit, so teams are giving the Lions their A game. One thing we already have accomplished this year is 2 winning seasons in a row. Lions fans can't say that very often. Yep, Dan Campbell, out of 3 years, 2 winning seasons. Dan Campbell, he's my coach of the year. If I was to do it, I think he's done a phenomenal job. Dan Campbell, 2 winning seasons out of 3.
Right.
What a change from Matt Patricia. What a change.
It's amazing what leadership can do in having a direction instead of just guessing where you're going, either on draft picks or on offense or defense. The other part of it is this isn't college. This isn't high school. These are the pros. These are men you're dealing with. And when you're trying to insult them, they're probably not going to play very hard for you. One thing we can say that the total difference between both coaches, Patricia, I think most of his players probably didn't care for him too much, where the players for MCDC, I mean, they seem to all, for the most part, agree that they love him to death.
Seems like AG can adjust mid-game like other teams' defenses seem to do against us, or do you think the players are just trying to make up for another player misassignment? I think it's a mixture of everything. I do. I don't think it's one specific thing. I think that AG, it can be arrogant sometimes. I think the players are not winning their one-on-ones, and I think we have a lack of talent. That's what I totally believe that. Yet Tat is point I agree with. Even if I don't always like the direction, I see they have a direction.
Right.
Lions do have a direction, absolutely, and it's going upward, and it's a great direction. You top down from ownership all the way down to the Water Boys. You're seeing a change. The culture's changed. It's a winning team, and I love how Dan Campbell spoke today about, we won, but we expect better. We will play better. we have things to work on. It's like, yeah, we're winning, but we need to get better. And that's what good teams do. They consistently attempt to get better. Dan Campbell is a meathead. Ben Johnson is the brains of the operation. You'll see that when he becomes a head coach in the offseason. Look, if you think he's a meathead and you think he's dumb and idiotic, well, hey, that's your opinion. But you know what? I'm going to give this from my experience in the Army here. I've had two types of leaderships in the Army when I was in Iraq. One was a very high IQ'd individual, very smart captain. He, man, I couldn't even imagine what his GPA was in college. I think he went to like a Harvard. Like, he's very smart captain. This guy, oh man, he could just do anything with his brain. When we were on the field, out past the wire, the guy had no idea how to run a convoy. He didn't know. He didn't have the feel of the troops, of the soldiers, and it was just a cluster. Now, I've had a staff sergeant. I've had platoon sergeants that their IQ's not great. They're more of the boys in the locker room, and they can lead men like I've never seen before. And that's what Dan Campbell reminds me of. I think he's smart. I think this idea that he's just a dumb clunk is ignorant because he lifts weights. You know, you see people, oh man, he lifts weights, so he's dumb. Okay.
Right.
I think he's played the game before, played a tight end. He's played in the NFL. He knows the feel. He knows how you treat people, and he knows that you get good coaches to surround yourself with. I think he's a good coach.
I would say this too, Mikey. If we're going to say just because he's big, tall, and talks sort of like the Big Lebowski that he's dumb, then I think you're just judging a book by its cover instead of ignoring the evidence in front of you. You've had this guy being trusted on multiple different NFL staffs, and now he's turned around one of the most historically terrible franchises in all the NFL. Now, nobody does it alone. I get Brad Holmes. Everybody else has something to do with it. But the record speaks for itself. You took over a team with no direction and a franchise that was horrible, and now you've got back-to-back winning seasons in 2 straight years. You know, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, the head coach is the one that makes the calls to go for it on 4th down, this, that, and the other thing. And you look at just the last month, the Chargers game, instead of giving it back to the other team to say, hey, hopefully our defense can hold up, he makes the call to go for it, and obviously Goff gets the 1st down. He made the call, against the Saints on what to do late in the game to go for the win. He's done that enough times now where I think the evidence says while he might talk a certain way and, yeah, he's a great meme or whatever you want to say, end of the day, he's getting it done where most other people in the history of the Detroit Lions franchise have never even been in this type of area.
And guess what? He's an emotional person. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And what I really like about Dan Campbell is he doesn't care what the media thinks about him. When he came out and talked about the kneecaps, they all laughed at him. I don't care. I only care what I do for this team. I only care about the Detroit Lions, this fan base. That's the only thing I care about. And what I also like about him, he's not hard-headed. He will adjust fire. If something's not working, he will adjust fire. This dude has the ability to understand that he's not the smartest guy in the room, unlike Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia thinks he was the smartest guy in the room. He's this, he's that, he's great. And that would lead to his downfall. So, okay, the meathead persona, if you're just looking at him, well, I guess, just because you're big and built like a tank, you're a meathead. I guess that means if you're fat and you're overweight, that means you're a terrible head coach too, because you're just like, I think it's just more of persona. I think it's judging a book by its cover, and generally speaking, that doesn't work out too well in society. Campbell's a former player. We've got plenty of coaches that are former players. That is in no way a bad thing. It's 100% not a bad thing. Clearly, it's a good thing. And you're starting to see other teams do this. When you see other teams starting to do the Lions way, we heard about the Patriot way when we got Matt Patricia. We got to do it the Patriot way. There's certain teams like, we got to do it the Lions way. We're going with former players now. You're starting to see that more. And it's good to see certain teams go for on 4th down more. I think it all came from Dan Campbell and what they're seeing the success here in Detroit. That's exactly what I'm seeing. Ben Johnson, by all means, is great offensive mind. I'm not taking anything away. I think he has a fantastic offensive mind. He will probably be a really good head coach when he decides to do that. If his offense will be really good in the NFL, doesn't degrade Dan Campbell, doesn't degrade Ben Johnson. This is the greatest turnaround in the franchise since 1957, period, led by Dan Campbell and Holmes, and can't really be disputed. There's no dispute about it. And I think it always goes, Eve Shield Ford Hamp, you got to throw her in there.
Yep.
I think she got to get some love as well. It goes Spielman, it goes Barry. Like, what they're doing is the right thing. Can't dispute it. I mean, it's a great turnaround. The rise of Ben Johnson has been meteoric. I hope he waits another season or two before taking a head coaching gig. The fact that the ownership gave him a nice pay raise is very, very encouraging. I think it was too. You want to keep God, give him a pay raise there, Dan.
It seems to help, don't it? And I would say this with Ben Johnson, I think he's got a lot of good things that a team would want to be drawn to. But I also say this. I think if he goes now, I mean, somebody offers him a head coaching job, by all means, take it. You may never get the chance again. But I also think watching him over the course of the last 2 months, I think teams have caught up to him a little bit, which happens all the time. I don't know if he'd be around in that particular team for very long, especially if you go to a bad franchise, because that means you need talent. And if you're caught off with a lack of experience and bad talent, which typically happens to Detroit Lions coaches, you're not around at that team very long. It
depends what team you go to. You go to David Tepper over there for the Carolina Panthers, you can be fired mid-season. This guy's terrible ownership. You go to a team that has good ownership and they're patient, and I think he could be a wizard. Like, they're with the right direction. You give this guy talent, I think he'll exploit talent for sure. He will. But you got to be patient sometimes with some of these young coaches coming into the NFL, and like some of these, like a David Tepper, I think it's 6 head coaches in 6 years.
Right.
Like, that's something that we used to do back in the day. Like, and no longer is that something that will make a franchise good. We need to draft a cornerback from Iowa. He's a beast. I hope Ben Johnson doesn't get offered the Chargers job, because that would be incredibly tough to turn down. That would be the one I would look for, man. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. They got pieces on defense.
They do.
That would be
maybe the Raiders.
The Raiders would be good. The Raiders would be a good spot, but they got to draft a quarterback. Patriots, they're with the second pick in the draft right now. You could turn around and get a quarterback. The Panthers would be the place you would not want to go. They don't even have first round pick, and they're the worst team in the NFL. Their owner sucks. They have a lot of talent over there. Bryce Young's not looking too good right now. Like, it's just a cluster. I wonder who gets that job. I kind of feel bad for him.
It's gonna be somebody without other options.
Yeah. Oh man, that's bad. You'll have your job for about a year, if that. 49ers are copying some of our plays. Yeah, man, when you see teams copy us, that means you're doing something right. It's really good. Where can they find you, Dan? Where can they find your channel?
You can come on over, search on YouTube for Lions Talk Live every morning, 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to roughly 8 a.m. Every day of the week. So come on over, have a good time, have a Mountain Dew, and enjoy the show.
Mountain Dews, that's right. Everybody likes a Mountain Dew. Make sure you go and subscribe to Dan, the man of their Lions Talk Live. He's getting it done every day, putting in the work, almost to 5,000 subscribers. Make sure you get to 5,000 subscribers. That's what it's all about. We got Thursday, the One Pride podcast on my personal channel. Live stream the Lions and Bears. Hopefully the Lions get a victory on Sunday. That's what it's all about, is winning, and we need to win. With that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Taking into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off at these f***ing clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I